your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? She's deceased, all right? Hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay?
A mother will protect her child the best way she knows how, but DeeDee's definition of protection was so bizarre and so strange. This case is quite frustrating and the plot twist is crazy. This case was all over social media, but you may not know the full story. A mother was dead and her very sick and disabled daughter was nowhere to be found. Nobody saw this coming. This is the case of DeeDee and Gypsyblanchard. It was 2005 and Hurricane Katrina had hit. Gypsy and Dee Dee were survivors, but their home had been destroyed. They lost everything they had and they were in desperate need for a new home. They were relocated to Missouri to start over. Gypsy was sick. She had seizures, she had to be fed through a feeding tube, sleep apnea, she even carried around an oxygen tank with tubes up her nose, muscular dystrophy, she couldn't walk and was in a wheelchair. She had problems with her eyes, ears, cancer, her hair was falling out. The list of diseases that Gypsy had was quite a long one. Epilepsy, leukemia, severe asthma, immature for her age, and she was even said to die at an early age. Gypsy's mom, DeeDee, was unemployed and was a full-time stay-at-home mom. She took care of Gypsy 24/7. Their new home was rent-free and was built by Habitat for Humanity. They got a new van as well. They lived on a street called Volunteer Way, and that was in Springfield, Missouri. Because of Gypsy's muscular problems, their new house had a hot tub. They made new friends and the people in the community were very supportive. People were buying things for them and even helped them drive to the airports for medical treatments. They usually went to hospitals that were out of the state and they got free flights to their hospital appointments.
It just proves that happy endings are not just in fairy tales, they're real and true in real life also.
They couldn't drag me back to Louisiana kicking and screaming. I'm here to stay. We're home.
DeeDee told people that her daughter had brain damage and that she was mentally younger than whatever age she was, so they should talk to her as if she was younger than she was. She was homeschooled and went on charity trips to Disney World.
Hi everybody, right now I'm in Cinderella's castle eating some royal mashed potatoes.
They even had a GoFundMe page. Gypsy's medical records were actually lost in Hurricane Katrina, so doctors didn't really have any of the original documents to back up any of her diagnostics. And according to DeeDee, Gypsy's father was very abusive and wanted nothing to do with Gypsy. Gypsy's dad was actually married to DeeDee for a very short period of time. They got pregnant when she was 17. DeeDee was actually older than him, but they got married because they were having a baby. After 3 months, he realized he never really fell in love with DeeDee and they separated. DeeDee said he had denied that Gypsy had any medical problems and was just the worst of fathers. DeeDee moved further away from her ex-husband and Gypsy kept on getting sick. She, however, responded to her treatment really well and people were inspired by that.
Hello everybody, this is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I am about to dive off our porch into the pile of snow. You ready?
As Gypsy got older, DeeDee and Gypsy shared a Facebook account, and DeeDee monitored her daughter's social media presence. When they moved to Missouri, Gypsy made a friend. This friend was a neighbor, and she messaged her regularly. She had a secret Facebook account which wasn't filtered by her mom. Emma Rose was the name of this account. Everything was fine, or so everyone thought, until June 14th, 2015. There was a post on DeeDee and Gypsy's Facebook page. At first, friends thought the Facebook account was hacked, but after a few unanswered calls, friends decided to go to their house and check out what was going on.
And then there's another post. So I called their phone, and they didn't pick up.
that point, I told Kim, we're just gonna go over to the house.
I was leaving messages on the machine. DeeDee, could you please call me back, or at least pick up the phone? Let me know that everything's okay. When we got to DeeDee and Gypsy's house, the car was in the driveway. Something didn't feel right.
We walked up to the house and started knocking on the door, and nobody's answering.
I knocked on the windows and we shouted their names.
At that point, I was starting to feel a little anxious, so I had Kim call the police department to see if they could come do a wellness check. When the police showed up, we realized that the kitchen window was actually unlocked. The police explained to us that since there doesn't appear to be a break-in of any kind, that there is no legal means for them to be able to just enter the property. So I asked them if there's going to be any reason why I couldn't go in the house, and I was told that would be okay. First thing that I noticed when I got inside, other than it being dark, is that it was extremely cold. It's like the air conditioner had been on full blast and just constantly running. And the house looked normal. I was just looking to see if I could find any people or anything that really just struck me as odd. You know, like overturned furniture or things that are broken. Gypsy's wheelchairs are still sitting in the living room, and her electric wheelchair was in the bathroom. So that means all three of the wheelchairs that I knew that she had were in the house. In Gypsy's room, everything is just typical kids' room. DeeDee's bed was unmade. There was a lot of blankets on it, but nothing looked out of sorts.
When Dave told the cop what was in the house, which included all three of Gypsy's wheelchairs, I just knew that something was wrong.
The Missouri Highway Patrol issued a statewide alert tonight about a mother and a daughter missing from Springfield tonight. They say 19-year-old Gypsy Blanchard and 48-year-old Blanchard were last seen June 10th. If you know anything about their whereabouts, you're asked to call police right away.
The police discovered DeeDee's body when they arrived at the house. She had been lying dead for a few days. She was stabbed and it was brutal. I mean, too graphic to describe. So at this point, the neighbors thought this has to be the work of an intruder who stabbed DeeDee and kidnapped Gypsy. The public was just horrified. This was a family that had been through so much, and they were the sweetest family that anyone knew. Who could have done this? How could this happen to such good people? The police also had so many questions, and to top it all off, Gypsy was gone, nowhere to be found. The police started interviewing the neighbors, and this is when they got a lead. Remember Gypsy's neighbor friend? Gypsy was talking to her about boys. Enter Nicholas Goldejohn. Gypsy and Nick met online on a Christian dating site in 2012. She was 18 at the time and Nick was 24. They were even thinking about marriage and having a family together. Nick, however, had autism and multiple personality disorder. Gypsy knew this and she didn't mind. Nick made her feel safe and loved. Gypsy and Nick went on to have a secret online relationship for 2.5 years and asked for her advice on how to kiss, marriage, kids, normal questions teenagers with boyfriends have. One time somewhere in March 2015, she tried to introduce him to her mom at the cinema, but that took a turn for the worse.
We thought that it was time to meet up face to face. And so I came up with the idea, let's meet up at a movie theater. Let's pretend like we don't know each other and we'll bump into each other, make friends. And I thought, if he dressed nice, if he said all the right things, if he was just a kind person, that my mom would think, hey, well, why not this be the one? And then that way we don't have to lie and hide our relationship. I had picked a movie, and it was Cinderella, the new version. And I thought that it was perfect. So we got our bus ticket, and he came to Springfield. finally meet me. Just struck up a conversation with my mom in the movie theater, and she thought that he was creepy and gave off a sort of dangerous vibe. So she moved down a couple of seats and told me to follow her. I didn't. My mother told me, why are you still hanging out with that guy? And that led to an argument, and I'm like, he's not doing anything wrong. He just wants to be my friend. Why can't I have friends? She took me to the bathroom, and she slapped me.
The police traced the IP address of the Facebook status made on DeeDee and Gypsy's Facebook account to a residential area in Big Bend, Wisconsin. The police determined it was Nick's parents' home. Immediately, the local police was contacted to check the home out and see if Gypsy was there. The police descended on the home and, well...
This is a KY3 special report.
A huge break in this homicide investigation. We've just learned that 19-year-old Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been found safe. She is okay. She has been found in another state, and that also a person of interest is in custody. Detectives are right now heading to that state to get in touch with Gypsy Rose and this person of interest in the case. We will give you more updates online and have live reports coming up today on
Gypsy was alive, safe, and unharmed. They were taken to the police station and were interrogated.
This says Nicholas. You go by Nicholas, something different?
I prefer, usually by my family I'll be called Nicholas, but by friends and other people I usually be called Nick. Usually.
What would you like for me to call you when I'm talking to you?
Nick.
Nick? Okay.
Nick confessed everything.
The truth is, okay, I'll admit it. I did actually stab her. I will admit it.
I know. Okay.
Nick's room was searched and he found some money stolen from DeeDee's purse and the murder weapon. It turns out Nick mailed the murder weapon to himself. Gypsy, on the other hand, was in shock and did not believe her mom was gone.
What happened with your mom that night?
I don't know what happened with my mom.
Okay, your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Hang on, listen to me for just a second. I know you do. Sweetheart, I have no doubt that you love your mom. Why did Nick hurt her?
Growing up, Gypsy had a very special relationship with her mom. They were like best friends, and with all her health complications, she felt her mom was the only one she had. DeeDee also made sure they moved far away from the ex-husband and extended family. Gypsy didn't have much of a solid relationship with her dad. They did not see each other much, and when she turned 18, her dad called to wish her a happy birthday. DeeDee wouldn't even let Gypsy get on the phone. She told him that we are not allowed to tell her she's 18. Remember, she was telling people her mental capacity was like 4 years behind, so mentally she is 14 years old.
What happened with your mom that night?
I don't know what happened with my mom.
Okay,
Did Gypsy know that you were going to kill her mother?
Just listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? And I know that you know.
Honestly, she asked me to.
So Gypsy knew you were going to kill her mother because Gypsy asked you to.
Yes.
Why did she ask you to do that?
Did you kill your mom?
No, sir.
Did you help
No, sir.
Nicholas kill your mom?
No, sir. Sir.
Did you have knowledge that Nicholas was going to kill your mom before he did it?
No, sir.
Okay, good morning. I want to specify at the beginning of this press conference that says this is an ongoing investigation. The prosecutor has filed charges this morning for first-degree murder on 2 suspects. We're still investigating the extent of the relationship, but it has been referred to as boyfriend-girlfriend.
After the whole cinema meeting plan went left, Gypsy took some abuse, and it was at this point that she decided her mom had to go. Gypsy loved Disney movies and could really relate to the story of Rapunzel. We know that the witch in Rapunzel had to die before she could be free. Gypsy wanted to be free and she believed life was a fairy tale.
At any time during any of this whole situation that's happened, did Gypsy ever have to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay, when was that?
That was only when she was living at home.
Okay.
Otherwise, she could walk.
So when she was with you this whole time, she hasn't had to have a wheelchair?
Nope.
We also know that she can walk without assistance or a wheelchair, and she can do that very well.
Volunteers, family and friends were shocked. Gypsy could walk. She was walking like she had been doing it her whole life and didn't even need a wheelchair. She also had short, spiky hair. She was not bald from her cancer treatments. So this entire story of Gypsy being sick and handicapped, the leukemia, muscular dystrophy, seizures, epilepsy, all of it was a big fat lie. A scam, as some people call it, constructed by Deedeeblanchard, Gypsy's mom.
Everybody that I had ever met in my life, I kept thinking about their faces and how hurt they must have been to find out that these two people that they had cared so much for were not who they thought. I would describe my relationship with my mother as complicated. When I was younger, it was a lot better, just because she was like a best friend to me.
You wanna blow me a kiss? Very good. I love you.
We used to do things together all the time. Go to the movies, go to the park, the zoo. When I was probably about 5 or 6, my mother told me that I had epilepsy and that I was paralyzed from the waist down. She said I had cancer and she would shave off my hair and tell me it's gonna fall out anyway, so let's keep it nice and neat. She would also say that I couldn't eat and that I needed a feeding tube. And so I would have formula through the feeding tube, and I'd also receive my medication through the feeding tube. I'm not sure all the names of the medication that my mom was making me take, but there was a lot of ones that basically just put me under a sedative state. It wasn't until I saw my attorney for the first time, and he tells me that there's been no medical records that says I have cancer, and it shocked me. I don't have cancer? It confused me so much. So what other illnesses don't I have? He tells me, for the most part, he thinks I'm perfectly healthy, and that a lot of this is made up. I was happy to know that I'm perfectly healthy, but at the same time, it hurt because it's like my whole world had been tossed up, and I realized that my mother wasn't who I thought she was.
So Gypsy's mom made up all these illnesses about her. Most of Gypsy's teeth fell out because of all the medications she was taking. Mind you, some of these medication was pretty strong, so the fact that she was taking them for no reason is mind-blowing and really disturbing. So how strong was DeeDee's control over Gypsy? You may have heard of something called Munchausen syndrome. It is a mental disorder which is quite interesting. It is when someone fakes medical conditions themselves or think that they are constantly sick when they are not. They do this for various reasons, to get money or attention or who knows what. In DeeDee's case, Munchausen by proxy was her disorder. She made someone else lie about being sick. This often happens from mothers to daughters. DeeDee was after financial remuneration, and this is known as malingering by proxy. DeeDee and Gypsy received lots of financial support from organizations and individuals. Whenever DeeDee decided that she was going to give her child a new disease, she would do her research. She was a nurse's assistant after all. She also had a very persuasive personality.
Where are you going today? I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist for my teeth. I had many surgeries. And we'll be back soon. I've had my salivary glands removed because my mother said that I drooled. I had the feeding tube placement in my tummy. I had multiple eye surgeries on my right and left eye. Ear surgeries. A muscle biopsy to find out why my legs didn't work. And a surgery to make me not throw up anymore. She had a very persuasive personality. On the outside, you would almost think that she's just the kindest, sweetest, most genuine woman. She would give me a stuffed animal or a doll to play with, and she would just tell me to keep quiet. If the doctor asked me how I was doing, say fine, but other than that, don't talk. And if she found that the doctor didn't agree with what she wanted, or if they didn't put me on a certain medication or did do a certain surgery, she would switch to a different doctor that she would find that would. I've probably seen over 100 doctors in my life.
So how come all these doctors did not see through DeeDee's lies? It's quite alarming how some doctors would just take a mother's word about their child without doing any test to confirm the acclaimed illness. How exactly did the hospital system allow a girl to get cancer treatments for leukemia when she didn't even have it? It's so disappointing, and I hope they do a lot of investigation to the doctors that they saw, because who knows who else they are treating for something they don't have. I mean, how do you not back up treatments that you give someone with actual medical data? It's pretty bizarre. Even though according to DeeDee, previous medical records were all gone in Hurricane Katrina. Tests should have still been made to confirm the diseases at least before treatment. There was actually a doctor who did a test on Gypsy's muscular dystrophy. He realized that everything in Gypsy's body was normal. He told DeeDee about it, and obviously she was mad about it, and they left the hospital. The doctor reported it to the pediatrician that DeeDee had Munchausen by proxy, but he failed to call Child Protective Services because according to him, he needed more evidence. You have to be quite clever to carry out a twisted scheme like this. DeeDee was the last of her siblings, and right after she was born, her mom said she was sick. DeeDee couldn't go out to play, jump up and down. DeeDee's mom was basically doing to DeeDee what DeeDee did to her child, but for a different reason. After DeeDee's mom died, DeeDee got into trouble often. I mean, she was a rebel. According to her family, she was not new to the law. She wrote some bad checks in the past, shoplifted, and committed credit card fraud. It's no surprise that she conned so many people with this scheme. When Gypsy was arrested, she threw Nick under the bus, got in the bus, and drove over him. But she knew she could walk, she did not need a feeding tube, and she was not losing hair. She also found out she was 4 years older than her mom said she was. So how come Gypsy was not able to ask anyone for help?
She had met this guy at this sci-fi convention, and she told him what was going on, that she was trying to get away from her mom, that she needed some help.
I trusted him a little bit, enough to run away from home. He didn't have a place of his own, so he was staying with a friend. Well, those friends knew my mom. They called my mom, and my mom came to get me. She told him that I was 15. So he freaked out because he was 36 at the time. My mother brought me back with her, smashed my computer. She chained me to a bed, tinted the windows so nobody could see what was going on inside the house, and put bells on the doors so if I tried to sneak out again, she could hear. I had asked her, if I can go to the bathroom. She'd unchain me, take me to the bathroom, but then chain me back up to the bed. She would starve me. She would hit me with a coat hanger. And she would call me bitch, slut, whore, devil spawn. For about 2 weeks that happened. I went from looking at her like a loving parent to seeing her as somebody I was quite afraid of. I felt like there was no hope. I just kept thinking, dear God, get me out of here somehow.
DeeDee also made her believe that she could not trust anyone, but she was constantly texting with Nick and dressing up for him and stuff, so... I don't know, man. You never know what was going through someone's head or how scared someone must have been, you know? I mean, your own mom is doing this to you. Your own mom. The trust issues you would develop is beyond normal. So Gypsy pretty much trusted Nick more and asked him to get rid of her mom. Remember, Nick had autism, and the obsession that kids with autism can have is intense. They can get so set on something that they may not see reality clearly. Nick was madly in love, and his mind was focused on one thing. He strongly believed that was what was going to make Gypsy happy. They looked up different ways of doing it, and they settled on stabbing. So around midnight, Gypsy let the front door open and Nick came in moments later. She was told to go to the bathroom and cover her ears. After he stabbed DeeDee to death, they left the house and stayed in a motel for the night. They then mailed the knife used to Nick's parents' house, and they traveled by bus to Nick's house. The craziest part of all of this was the Facebook status that was so violent was actually posted by Gypsy. According to her, she wanted someone to find her mom because she thought she has been lying there for a while. Nick was charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action and was sentenced to life in prison for the murder charge and 25 years for the armed criminal action, with no possibility of parole. Gypsy pled guilty and was actually sentenced to 10 years. For the first time in her life, she can be honest. She actually thought she had cancer, so when they told her she did not have leukemia, she was pretty shocked. Many of the things she was lying about, she didn't even know she was lying about. Some people really think that she could be held accountable for this in full because she was 23, and yeah, she did not have to kill her mom. Her whole life had felt like a trap with physical abuse and the lies. So of course, her lawyers used Munchausen by proxy and abuse as her defense. What do you guys think? Was the sentence fair? Do you think that it wasn't enough? Do you think that's too much? This case is so unique, and Gypsy actually seems happy in prison. She will be released in 2024 and she will be in her 30s by then. Which sucks because how normal will life be after going through all of this? She is now closer to her dad and her stepmom after all these years of deception. They visit her often and she doesn't blame her dad for not saving her from her mom. HBO actually has a longer version of this documentary called Mommydeadanddearest. Then there is also Gypsy's Revenge. Then the longest version is a mini-series on Hulu called The Act. Thank you so much for watching this video by NovyBriefs. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is such a frustrating case, and if you found it interesting, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and please subscribe to join the family. You can check out our other videos, and until I see you there, please take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye.